I want to start this show off with a little bit of a Nuñoism. You know what a Nuñoism is?
I don't think anybody does because it's not a real thing.
If you listen to the show,
made up right now.
No. If you listen to the show, it's mentioned daily. Nick Savage, if you had headphones on, he'd tell you.
Okay.
He's the one who coined it.
Okay.
It is, but it isn't. You know that what I do, that it is, but it isn't? The most unbelievable comeback, but it really wasn't that unbelievable because I believe in this team. There's my Nuñoism. Like, if you take a box score watcher, you'd say, that's unbelievable what they did. I didn't find it that unbelievable at halftime. I thought it was hard.
I didn't either. All right, so listen, you're right. And here's the thing. I was actually sitting with some people that were betting during the game, just people that bet on their phones, and I could hear them talking that, the money line was still A&M, as South Carolina was building this lead, the Aggies were still kind of essentially favored to win it. And I'm like, it doesn't seem possible. But there were 2 points for me that I felt not fine, but when you're down 20-3, all right, they're getting the ball back to start the half. But you're sitting there going, there's no way this should be 20-3 right now. You should be a lot closer. And you start wondering how much more often than not you're going to regret those mistakes and it's going to cost you a game. But I was like, they need to get the ball, come out, score 10. I don't think South Carolina will score much more than maybe, a touchdown, a couple field goals in the second half. Because that's what the Aggie defense does under Mike Elko. So at that part, I felt all right. When that last minute of the half was just absolutely wild. And to give up that 10 and go from 20-3 to 30-3, an 80-yard touchdown, when you throw a pick, 80-yard touchdown, and then you throw another one and they get a field goal out of that, and you're fortunate. Whoever made that open field tackle on the big tight end, I forget which play that was, or the back, with about under 20 seconds left. It was literally one-on-one in space, and it almost looked like he was just going to step right through it, and the dude fell. That might have been ball game right there. But to hold him to a field goal there, and I was just going 30-3, right? And you start doing the math in your head, and I did feel better because I was like, that's it. It's over. As soon as you saw Nick Harbor outrunning everyone for 80, looking like DK freaking Metcalf, you're going, I felt like this is just not going to be their day. But then once you get to halftime, I started going, they're going to go tempo. You really looked at it and said, whatever happens, you got to outscore South Carolina by 14 in each quarter. And you win, but can they stop them from scoring a point? That fourth down stop changed the whole thing. That's when you almost, I think the whole stadium felt like, all right, we're going to win this game.
Because they got desperate there.
And that was it wasn't a bad call by me. It was a longer, it still would have been almost 50-yard field goal. It wasn't but man, I did think they could do it, and I think everyone in the stands thought so too.
That's why they didn't leave.
And if South Carolina would have scored next, the game was over. If they would have kicked a field goal to go up 33-3, game's probably over. If they scored a touchdown, game is over. The crazy thing is the Aggies should have gone 38-0 run there, and they didn't. We'll talk about that later. But, yeah, the fact that the Aggies were a yard away from pushing that 27-point deficit to an 8-point lead. But all I kept thinking about, Dave, was the LSU game. And I was like, I know they're down. They were down 10 at the half last year here. And you're down 27. It's a big difference. But I was like, that 35-point second half explosion against LSU last year, that 35-0 run they put together against LSU a couple weeks ago. I was thinking about that. And ultimately, I said, South Carolina can't block A&M. They're going to get negative plays. They're going to get a takeaway or two. And I guess they didn't, right, in the second. Did they get one?
No, they got the one in the first half.
Yeah, I don't think they got one in the second. But I just thought that was going to happen, so I'm like, this is doable. Yeah, absolutely. Was I expecting it? No. But like everyone else in that stadium, you had hope because you knew what this team could do. And some of these scoring outbursts they've been on, combined with defense, have been incredible. 28-0 in the second half against South Carolina. 35-0 before LSU got a garbage time touchdown a couple weeks ago. They were a 31-0 run against Mississippi State after being held scoreless for pretty much the first half. And I think they outscored Florida down the stretch there. What was it? I don't know, 24-3. But some of these absolute scoring streaks they're going on and playing, you're seeing glimpses of their best football. What we saw yesterday was an extended look at their worst football. I don't know, guys. I don't know. You tell me if anyone knows this. I don't know if anyone has ever won a football game. Forget about the deficit. If this is on your ledger, okay, and this was all in a half. 2 missed field goals.
2 interceptions.
Two turnovers in the red zone. A turnover in your own red zone where you gave up a defensive touchdown. A drop touchdown pass. And then I will add something in the second half. A touchdown called back. Mm-hmm. The fact, just think about all of those things we just said. 3 red zone turnovers, 2 where you could have scored, 1 where you gave the other team actually produced a touchdown, 2 missed field goals, a touchdown called back. It's unheard of how poorly they were playing and what was going on to somehow win that football game. I had an old coach text me today, and he just said, championship team. And I was sitting with Jackie Sherrill down the stretch of that one, and just to hear him say, that's championship stuff, like what they're doing. Like, just, there were so many moments in that game that if it didn't happen, they don't win that football game. And it reminded me, all of us, it's the inverse of that UCLA game. Where, like, you're going to pick off Josh Rosen and the game's over, and it deflects right off Deshaun Caper-Smith's hands into a UCLA guy for a touchdown. You make that catch, the game's over. You make this tackle. If Kellen Mond's foot doesn't go out of bounds by this much on his touchdown run, they win that football game. On Saturday, every single thing that A&M had that do or have happen in the second half, they did, with the one exception down there inside the 5.
No punts in the second half.
Yep.
Marcel's, look, the defense had to tell it 2 halves. Marcel had to tell it 2 halves.
You haven't studied the numbers. Do you have them?
I can get them for you.
I know what it looked like. I know the production. I'm going to say this. That 4th and 12 run by Marcel Reed, it won't be on his Heisman highlight reel, I don't think. I think it was it might be one of the most impactful, meaningful snaps of football in A&M history.
Yeah.
When you think about it, and there's a couple things at play here. If he doesn't get that, and I just want people to go back and watch that play. It was an amazing move because he had to juke the one guy and then had to beat the second guy to the sticks. And the first guy, he cuts in, and that guy bites it, and then he gets back outside, but he also has that other DB coming. So it was almost like he had to, fake the one guy out enough to where he didn't get wide enough to get tackled and then cut it back. That's a Heisman play. That is a championship play. And if he gets tackled there, it's not impossible to win. They could have got a 3-and-out punt, but you lose a lot of time, which turns out they didn't really need the time. It was crazy how fast they took the lead. Yeah. But you probably don't make that comeback if he does 4th and 12. He doesn't get it. And just the way it happened, he throws a touchdown right after that. If you don't get that and you lose by, let's even say, 2 touchdowns to a 3-win South Carolina team, you have to go in Austin and win that football game in 2 weeks. Because that was the wild card about the 10-2 that we weren't talking about. If you'd have gotten beaten that by multiple scores as an 18, 19-point favorite at home, and then lose to Texas, they're going to drop you like a rock. They would have. And it would have been hard to argue it. You know, it would have been a tough pill to swallow, but hard to argue. You might have missed the playoffs with that one. That might have sparked a Heisman Trophy run from number 10. You certainly wouldn't have witnessed one of the greatest comebacks in recent college football history, certainly the biggest in A&M history. All of those things, if he gets tackled less than 12 yards, probably don't happen. And we would be sitting here talking today, man. I don't even want to know what the conversation would have been like. And I think, you know, you would have run the real risk of, you know, you'd gone to Austin wounded, kind of, you know, there'd be a whole new sense of like pressure in that one. And it was going to be a bad situation. But Marcel Reed started the half with that and ended with what?
I got the numbers. So second half, 16 of 20, 298, 3 touchdowns. First half, 6 of 19, 3 turnovers.
So again, 16 of 20.
16 of 20, 298, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Just incredible.
And had a great touchdown. This is Marcel Reed in a nutshell. Spectacular touchdown run, called back. Second time Chase Basantis has been completely screwed on an excellent block.
And a Heisman moment.
And 2 but I will say, the very next play, Marcel throws a freaking dot. Like,
it's the KC, right?
Just a beautiful throw. So he got most of those yards back.
But I think that if he gets that touch, that's something that the committee would see and be like, oh, that's a Heisman moment.
For sure.
They're not going to see that KC
But
pass.
Marcel Reed has had, he should be the front runner for the Heisman today. It doesn't change. Like, I still think the Aggies, I don't think they have, after this one, they might not have to go undefeated for him to win it, but he has to, like, I think if he takes them undefeated to Atlanta, but especially if they go there and he wins an SEC title, I think he's a Heisman Trophy winner. I don't think his stats have to be tremendous over the next 2 games here, or I'm talking about Texas and Bama. I think he just has to, I just think he has to win those football games and play well. Because now, what's on his resume, right? We talk about your boy that you've been championing all year, Mendoza.
I mean, I've been championing Marcel. I just like the Cuban community.
I was joking. I didn't even know you've been championing him, but you didn't react. So I was like, maybe he has.
No. Like, I like Haynes King because obvious reasons. Fernando for the La Raza, you know, and Marcel. But I want Marcel to win.
Yeah. So of course we do. And I think if the season ended right now, he would. And it's kind of like we said about Mendoza. He played so bad for most of that football game in Happy Valley. The difference in what Marcel did in Mendoza is Mendoza did it. He was spectacular for a drive.
Right.
They blew a lead. It was a close game. They were within a touchdown. Marcel led 4 straight second half touchdowns. He played so poorly in the first half. So did every single person, you know, in an Aggie uniform. It was a terrible half.
439. I mean, that's...
And so to me, Marcel Reed has 3 Heisman caliber outings, and that doesn't mean he doesn't have other good games. You look at Arkansas, Florida, but the Heisman caliber outings were like what he did in Death Valley on national TV in a matchup of ranked teams at night. What he did against Notre Dame in South Bend at night, game-winning touchdown pass at the end. And oh, by the way, 400 yards in that game too. He was at 397. Right. And then this game, we need to talk about some concerns, and we will in a second, but there's nothing to come out of this game like negative to talk about from the standpoint.
You are a playoff team.
Officially. You stamped your ticket. But here's the deal. This football team, like, I was getting texts, and obviously people read social media and stuff. I was getting texts from the list of people from around coaching, from around football, in my personal life, like friends of mine, like they're not Aggie football people. They just know A&M from me. Like, buddy of mine in LA that I haven't probably spoken to in years, and we just occasionally will be at text, hey, I hope you're good. Like, he's texting me. He's a Dodger fan. That's it. Everybody's just like watching this game. So what happened is you played so shitty for a half that the whole country tuned in to watch your demise. And we all do it. If you see the number 3 ranked team getting smoked by an unranked team, it's so unheard of, it's so unthinkable, so unexpected that the entire college football world, and really I think the entire sports watching world at 11 a.m. as you're getting ready for your later games, is watching that and following that score. And as the comebacks get started, more and more people start watching. More and more people start tuning in, getting locked in. So on a day where otherwise no one would have watched A&M South Carolina and they just would have seen a score and some stats, it turned into a Heisman-type opportunity for Marcel Reed. And it turned into this amazing showcase for Mike Elko's program, Texas A&M football, the 12th man, all of it. And the irony is the reason it did that because you played so poorly in the first 30 minutes. I mean, look, and now later we'll talk about hey, let's talk about that first half because there is a point where you go, eventually some of this stuff will catch up to you. So which is it? What concerns us? What doesn't? Moving forward out of that. But just base level here, 27-3 at halftime provided the Aggies this very unique opportunity. And in particular, Marcel Reed went out and seized it. And I don't know what's true and what's not, but I know from some people I've talked to that Marcel had some pretty good words to say. Elko said he didn't say much at halftime, meaning Elko. But I did hear Marcel had some stuff to say in terms of I'm going out there, I don't know the exact, I'll say it like this. We're going out there to win. We're leaving this locker room to go get a win. If you don't think that's happening, stay back in here.
Thank you to Academy Sports and Outdoors for the free portion of this content here on TexAgs.com. If you want to listen to the extended version, go to TexAgs.com/subscribe and become a premium subscriber. And if you're a student at A&M, take advantage. We'll give it to you for free.
The hardest part? Sitting still.